We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I may not be a millionaire. I may not have a brand new Frigidaire. My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new. But there is joy in my house. I've got joy in my house.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Join My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A radio show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
And we want to welcome you to our New Year's edition today. We have a great message for you for the year of 2013. But we do want to say I hope you had all a very Merry Christmas. And I hope your holidays are going well. I want to welcome my co-host here, Lolita Robinson.
Hi, I told Joel when I saw him, he looked like Dean Martin from the backpack, like he's gonna do Vegas. You look wonderful.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to dress up for the new year. I know for me, New Year is always a big step because you do want to start the new year right.
Yeah, you
and
do.
Want to have this momentum created so it carries you to the next December.
And it looks wonderful. I'm excited because tonight, people I work with Jay Sterling, we get to do every year the Tournament Rose parade celebration. They have a dinner the night before. So
wow.
We're going to be, it used to be called the Ritz-Carlton Pasadena. It's called Langham now. Last year, JR, who won Dancing with the Stars, was the Grand Marshal. And so I got to hear him speak. So I'm really looking forward to who's going to be the speaker tonight. It's a real blessing. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, well, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're just a busy woman.
I'm busy, but you look good, and you're right.
Thank
I
you.
like that. I love your attitude.
Thank you. You know what? I think our show, Joy in Our House,
Mm-hmm.
we want to have this joy and this attitude, this positive attitude. At least
Right.
I want to, because it's necessary. I know sometimes we are challenged and we do have these trials and tribulations, but through that mist, we still have to see the joy. And, we talk about that time and time again.
Yes, we do.
To have that joy.
Mhm.
And I'm in a state of gratitude, the people around me, the people that have been supportive through my challenges and through my struggles, my friends and my family. And not only that, the people that I work with, which include you, yourself, Lolita.
I love you a
And
lot.
we have a great message from Paul for the new year, Paul Obel from Obel Ministries.
Mhm.
He's been a blessing to me, and now he's part of this show. And,
Yeah, he
and
is.
He comes and speaks with us and ministers to me, not only at a level of this, having this platform, Joy in My House, but at a personal level.
Yeah, I got a
I'm
chance
grateful.
to talk. I don't want to steal his thunder, but to hear about his story, and I hope he talks about what we shared earlier. Like I said, I don't want to share, but I get a lot from him just to see how God has blessed his life in the midst of what he's had to go through.
And I think, that's our foundation is through our struggles, through our challenges, we find hope through one another.
Yeah.
We really, I really do.
Yeah. Well, you were saying that you were really touched by Pastor JT last week.
Oh, yes. I want to recap last week's show, our Christmas special, which was an amazing hit. Everybody just kind of really came out and supported. Grub and Hut.
Yeah.
Lee from
Lee.
Grub and Hut was here sponsoring the show. His shop out of Long Beach, California.
Mm-hmm.
And Pastor Jeff Timberland gave an amazing Christmas message that ministered to me, because we were talking about during the holidays, you get caught up in the busyness of it, and you get caught up in the, I got to buy this for this person, and you get a little grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And he really ministered to me directly. I think you were saying the same thing.
Yeah, he did. And what the symbols meant for Christmas and the Christmas tree, the triangle. I was telling people about that, going back to Christ and the ornaments, the light. And it really touched you about the difference between being a seeker, a believer, and a follower.
A believer and a follower.
That really ministered to me too. That really did, because it's not enough just to believe. So that was a great Christmas message, and so I'm looking forward to today for the New Year message.
Same here, our New Year's message. Now, if you're just joining us and you're coming out of service, or you'd like to catch the recap of the show, you can find us on Facebook /Join My House. You can find us on latalklive.com. You click on shows and click on Join My House, and you can recap all of our previous episodes. If you really want to stay in tune with us, follow us on twitter.com/joinmyhouse for up-to-date guest lineups and specials that we have. So please feel free to engage. If you have any questions or comments throughout the show, our studio line is open. It is
Call us,
323
call us.
247 7443. Feel free to just engage with us. We want to hear your comments and questions or anything that you're going through that maybe we can find some hope through your struggles and some of the challenges you're facing that you're going through, but still have that joy in your house.
And I was glad to see Veronica. She'd been gone for a while.
Oh, yes. One
Yeah.
of the assistants here,
Yeah, but
Veronica.
it was good to see her and Van and, loved him. And
Yeah,
Richard was passing
we
through.
saw Richard as
Yeah.
well. Everybody's in the house today. Everybody's
Yeah.
in the house today. Well, I think it's a new, like I said, it's the end of the year, and you want to start off the new year just positive. You want to start off the new year doing right, I think, to carry you through the months,
Right.
because it is difficult right now. I
Very.
think financially, emotionally, even spiritually, I think people are being attacked and being challenged
Yeah.
constantly.
You can hear it. You can really hear it in people. People that I'm around are really. It's the hardest. It's like my boss was saying. Anything that can be shaken has been shaken, and who's left standing are those that'll be faithful. So we want to encourage those of you out there to stand, no matter what. Stand, and we need one another. You're right.
Part of the foundation of our recovery is
Right.
that, you get a sponsor, you get an accountability partner, and people think, I think people who are not in program are always like, oh, why do you need that? Why do you need that? And I think God put us on this earth to love one another, to appreciate one another. So when we go to heaven, we're able to appreciate the blessings that He's given us. His
And keep
kingdom.
us on track until we get there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
through each other's challenges, we find hope. We find support, and I personally, that is the foundation of my taking one step at a time. My family who's there, my friends, some of my best friends that no matter what happens, I can call them up and they're supportive, or I need this, and they you know what, I haven't talked to them in a while, but they'll come and they'll say, you know what, I got this, and that's really important that we also rely on one another.
And I hope that for the audience out there who's listening in, that we can be that for you too, friends and just prayer partners. If you, like you said, tweet us or call or
That's
Facebook us. Some of you have been Facebooking, which has been great to know that we care and we're there.
And that's what the show's about.
Right.
That's what the show's about. We talk about the premise, but our mission statement is that we're here to lend an ear.
Right.
And I think that's very important that we let the audience out there know that we're here for you, just to listen. And a lot of times, us listening to you will bring us inspiration, will bring us hope, and that is why we bring on guests.
Right, to encourage from all kinds of. We've had such a diversity of people. God's kingdom is so multicultural and colorful, and all the different vocations that people have had. That's beautiful. So hopefully, like you said, we're encouraging those of you out there that even though you may not be famous or a movie star, we're all important. We all have something to do.
I think God gives everybody gifts.
Yes, He does.
And Lee talked about that when he was talking about his ministry was his
Right.
family.
Yeah, he was.
His children.
Yeah. So
And-
are yours and mine at this point.
That's right.
Right.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Right now, my children are my world, and my little puppy now that's part of my family. These are the people that, my dog has an ear infection.
Oh, wow.
I got to put ointment, clean out the ear,
Yeah.
and then put the medicine twice a day.
Yeah, I went through that with my cat Frankie, and he's in trouble because he always wants to let me know he's I don't know what he thinks, but he always got to spray my room. I'm like, okay, Frankie, that's not happening. So
Yeah, but it's funny how these things bring us together.
yeah, they do.
And they bring us to engage with one another. And it's, again, the foundation of my life, taking my life one step at a time, is because of the relationships that I have built. But I built them now on a foundation of Christ,
Right.
where before it was a foundation of me, what I wanted. I wanted you for something. I had an agenda.
Right.
I wanted to have
I hear
fun,
you.
or I wanted to, let's go out. Now I just want to know about you. I want a relationship with you that has a foundation of sincerity and trust. And I think that is my foundation to take one step at a time.
Amen. Amen. Well said. Well said.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to bring on one of our great friends, Paul
Yay.
Obel, and minister, who's going to give us our New Year's message. You're not going to want to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. We'll be right back.
That's right.
Jesus' blood and righteousness. Did not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. Who Christ the Son.
Hi, I'm Renina Minter.
And I'm Delana Watson, inviting you to join us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time
For our show, Sisters Seeking Solutions. Join us as we discuss real-life issues,
hot topics,
reality TV,
and current events.
while providing entertaining and encouraging solutions.
So don't forget to tune in to Sisters Seeking Solutions.
More than a show, a movement. Every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv and now on Radio Flag and every mobile device.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our new show, Gospel Rhythms Talk Live. Join us as we celebrate, promote, and elevate Christians in entertainment. So don't forget to tune in to Gospel Rhythms Talk Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio under R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is Gospel Rhythms on LA Talk Live, where we don't just talk about it, we are about it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Join My House, an inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. An inspirational reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is absolutely unimportant who says it or insignificant.
I'm joined here by my co-host, Lolita Robinson.
Hi there.
And I want to welcome to our in-studio guest, Paul Obel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yay, Paul.
It's my second time here. I love
That's
it.
right.
Well, make yourself at home because it's going to be more than two.
Well, I always tell the story of how I met Paul, or how I met our guest. I met Paul through a business Christian meeting out in El Toro. One of my other Christian brothers said, you got to go to this meeting. It's a great networking meeting. And at the time, I was just starting to work with Lolita, and we were looking for a website. And Paul Obel was a web designer and still is a web designer, has a lucrative business in web design. And I decided to work with them. Now, that seemed pretty innocent and business oriented. Well, come to find out that Paul has been ministering for many, many years, since he was about 15 years old. And he actually started mentoring me and started ministering to me, not knowing that God had put him in my life for more than just a website. And it's funny because a lot of the people that are now working with, including Lolita and several other people, God had put them there, and I thought they had been put there for a certain reason, which was completely different now that I look back and how I'm working with them now. So I want to tell you thank you for being a part of my life. And
thank you
my
for being a
recovery.
part of mine.
And mine too, Paul.
Absolutely.
Mine too.
My pleasure.
Well, welcome to the show again. I know
you.
this is the second time. I think the third episode we did, you ministered and had a great message on our third episode. But today you're giving the 2013 New Year's message. Are you excited about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all good.
Okay.
Everything good. I think we should expect to walk into 13 with overabundant blessings in our life. Expect them. And that is the biggest expectation is one of the greatest gifts that God works with. As we expect things, it engages our faith, and we can walk into what God really wants for us. So yeah, I walk into 2013 expecting great things from God.
Well, last year you didn't go into great detail, but I know you said that for a while you had some rough patches. I don't know whether it's 2011 or 12, but God has turned it around. Isn't that so?
Yeah. In 2010 and 11, I had some really struggles that I went through in my life, and just held on to God, and I knew that all things works out, for good, and everything, there's a purpose, and so this purpose enrich my life to grow, and growth. My life is all about growth. If you ask anyone who really knows me, they're like, yeah, I chase God.
Oh, good.
And I encourage everyone to really chase God and grow. And experiences that we go through, the struggles we go through, we have to count them as lessons. One thing that I do realize, and I'll even mention later, that we can't dwell on the past. The past serves two purposes. One, to learn from. If it's an ill past, a regretful past, we learn from it and move forward. And it's also to laugh at. So that's our past. So we don't hang around in our past. We move from it, but we learn from it and we grow from it and laugh at it.
And I think that's really important, because I think I believe it's my foundation for my recovery. I need to not live in the past. If I live in the past, I live with all this guilt and shame.
Right.
Or if I live in the future, I live with fear.
Right.
But if I live in the present, it seems like it's the only place that my pride can't get to me, as long as I'm surrendering on a daily basis. All right, what do you have for me now? What do you have for me in this moment? And if I do that, I'm able to get through my day.
Absolutely.
But it's when I think of the future, I want to be here, I need to do this, that I'm scared, is it going to turn out the way I want it to?
Right.
I live in fear.
And like you said, growing. I like what you said. Take what you learned and move forward.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
That absolutely. And also that's our greatest power. We all have power. We all do. We have creative power. God designed us to create. God designed us to have that kind of power. And we have to realize that the power that we have lies in our now, right now. A minute ago, you have no power whatsoever. What happened a minute ago? And you have no power in your future. The only power that you have is right now, in the moment. So I encourage everyone in 2013, live in the moment that you're in. Be happy in the moment you're in. Don't worry about your past, because it's power past gone. You don't live in your future, because you're not there yet. Your power is right now. So I encourage everyone, all your power, every power that you have, all the existence that you have, the very being that you have is right now.
Well, Paul, can I ask you a question? I have a friend. People are very dissatisfied where they are right now. And I spoke one time about bloom where you're planted. What would your message be? How to empower yourself, even though you may not be where you want to be? What would you say?
I find out that most people that live in disappointment, they're not happy with either their past, or they're not where they want to be, and they're not in the future. You cannot live for your future. I encourage you to have a future. I encourage you to have goals and to grab a vision and not let go of it. But you have to detach yourself from it and live in the now. That's just like when it's kind of like this. I give the example, when you ask God for something, or if you want a different future or a different life than what you have right now, you ask God for it, and then you kind of just walk away from it. You don't let go of the faith. You don't let go that it's not going to come. But I kind of present it like this. Asking God for something is like ordering out of a catalog.
Oh, wow.
You look at the catalog, you see what you want, you choose what you want, and I believe we need to be specific with our guidelines on what we want from God and what we ask for God. If you want a blue car, then ask for a blue car. God is more willing to give to us than we are to receive it. So we see a blue car in a catalog and we order it. We pay for it. We pull out our credit card. We either order it online or a phone or whatever. And then we walk away and we leave it alone. We forget about it until it arrives. And you even make preparations for it. Like say if you ordered a piece of furniture out of a catalog, you make room for it at your home and you don't worry about it anymore. You don't reorder it every day, fearing that it's not going to come.
Right.
You don't continue calling the catalog company and ask where it's going to come. You just order it, you walk away from it, you leave it alone until it arrives. And I think that's the same thing that we need to do when we ask God for a future or for something in our life, is order it, walk away from it, and just know that it's going to come, but don't put every emotion. You can't sit there and stare at that empty spot going, when is it going to arrive, when is it going to arrive, when is it going to arrive? You just have to order it, forget about it, and keep on with your life.
Well, you know what you said, and then maybe Joel can testify to this. Maybe sometime you order from a catalog and they're all out of that. And some people, like I remember a therapist I used to have would say, well, if you have a menu and there's no chicken, you don't eat. You order something else on there. So maybe sometimes we don't get quite what we first ordered, but God compensates, or how would you say that?
God designed the universe to serve us. And it's just like I was counseling with this one lady just recently in the past. She single and just dying for a husband.
Yeah.
And I basically said, you know what? Turn it over to God and let God bring you the man that He is designing for you.
I love it.
He's going to be better than what you planned for in the first place.
True.
And so I think if we don't get exactly what we want, just open our hearts, open our minds, and allow God. God knows us more than we know us.
Yes, He does.
And God knows exactly what to bring us more than we know what to bring us. So yes, absolutely. I think we should be open and just say, God, you bring us what you are designing for us.
And the blue card can come. Yeah, I love what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And I agree, like you were saying, that Pastor Jeff Timberland was saying, believing isn't enough. You got to follow. Like you were saying, you order the piece of furniture, so you clean up the area around it because you know it's going to come. You prepare for it. Mm-hmm. You don't sit and wait at the door and just say, when is it coming? When is it coming? But you do. You prepare for it. You know that it's going to come. So you also have to be prepared for when that furniture comes. You can set it up. You can use it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a great analogy because it's true. I ask for God to give me these blessings, but am I ready for them? Have I prepared for them? Have I set up my house for that piece of furniture to fit in my house? Because sometimes we ask for things that we're not ready for, and it's got to be in His time. It's got to be in His time and in His way. So I believe that. You pray about it. You ask God for His blessings, but you also have to be vigilant and determined to seek Him, because we talked about being a believer and being a follower. So now I believe you pray and you believe that it's going to come. But the next step, I think, is also you have to follow.
Chase, like
you were saying, a God chaser.
I love it.
Absolutely.
And you have a great message. I got an opportunity to look at the outline for your Christmas message and your wish for everybody out there.
Sure.
I would love for you to share that because I thought it was
we have
great.
a great outline here.
I would like to say something that's actually not on that outline that I thought of earlier. I wish for 2013 that everyone find their purpose. And most people don't even realize that they have a purpose. But you have to think about it. You came to this life with nothing. You're going to leave this life with nothing. Why are you here?
Oh, wow.
Why are you here? If you came with nothing, you're going to leave with nothing. There's got to be a reason. There's a purpose on why God designed your birth when He designed your birth. So I encourage you to find your purpose. You do have a purpose. Every single person has a purpose on life, and we need to find it. There's one thing, a couple of years ago, my father passed away. And during my dad's life, he always asked me, he said, son, when I die, I want you to preach my funeral. I want you to do my eulogy. So I had the honor of doing that a couple of years ago.
Man.
And flying from California to Texas, San Antonio, where he was at, I began to write some things down. And he was born in 1926 and died in 2010. And so I wrote that down on a piece of paper on the airplane, 1926-2010. And I began to think about his purpose. And my whole concentration fell on that dash.
Oh, wow.
That dash is our
that.
purpose.
What's in between, in other words?
That's in between those two dates. There's a purpose. There lies a purpose in every single person.
What did he do?
And I encourage you in 2013, find the purpose of that dash. Find out why you're here. There is a reason. Every person was born for a reason.
Well,
so find that purpose.
But please share what we talked about just before you go into your message. What your father got to see at your church before he passed away. That's a great dash, I think.
Yeah, it was. My dad left a great legacy. My dad was a minister, and his father was a minister. And my mother, she, of course, married my dad, and her father was a minister.
Wow.
So that was the legacy that they brought. And a couple of years before my dad passed, I flew him out to California to visit with us for about a week. And we realized that Sunday morning while he was here, we went to church, and my daughter and grandchildren and son-in-law were at church with us. And the pastor at that time recognized that there were 4 generations of our family in church that Sunday morning.
Wow.
It was my father, myself, my daughters, and my grandchildren. I have 2 grandsons. And 4 generations at one time in church that one Sunday morning was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and you said the pastor was speaking about legacy, and you didn't even know it.
And it was pretty phenomenal because during that time, there was a series that he was started on about legacy, and so that fit right into his Sunday morning message. So he had us all stand and gave homage to
Well, what's
the
more
four of
important
us.
than to have your family serving the Lord?
Yeah,
I'm sure your father had plenty of accolades, but I mean that right there says it all. That dash is powerful.
Right, absolutely. There's 5 of us siblings, and all 5 of us are doing something for God.
Oh, that's
Wow.
beautiful.
That's amazing, because that's one of my prayers, is that my children know Christ.
Yeah.
I think, we pray for all these monetary things. I want a successful life. I want the big house. I want the nice car. Those things are so insignificant when you talk about coming into this world with nothing and leaving with nothing.
Right.
I'm not going to have these things when I die.
Right.
But my children, if they know Christ, that is something that will live on through them, and hopefully their children, and like you said, to have 4 generations. What a blessing.
Sure.
It is a blessing.
Yeah, and most people just, when you ask what your purpose is, and most people will answer, and the lot answer is, well, my purpose is to earn more money. Well, that's not really your purpose. That's not really your purpose. And like we said, you came with nothing, you're going to leave with nothing. Your purpose is not to acquire money. There's more meaning to life than to acquire money. And it's touching hearts. My purpose is to teach and to touch people that there's something greater than what we're living at right now. That's my purpose, is to leave that legacy, to knowing that I can help someone, and if I can help someone and their life become a little easier and lift them up a little, then my purpose has been fulfilled. That's what I live for, and that's what we're here for.
And speaking about that, in terms of, I think that my purpose has been to break the cycle of addiction, because no one in my family knew about recovery at all. And so my mother has learned about it and has gotten some help. I've learned about it. My sons have learned about it. So I wished I had a legacy of pastors. I think somewhere along the line on my son's side of the family, my husband's family, and I think way back in my family there were some pastors, but now at least I can say we're breaking the cycle of addiction, and that really gives me a great purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very good, because I'm still searching for mine. I'm kind of trying to stay faithful. And like I said, I live my day at a time, so I don't know what my future is going to hold.
Well, you're doing it.
But I'm one step faithfully is what my efforts are. And to hopefully God will reveal more and more of my purpose. But I remember what Lee said last week, and his purpose was his children. And I think right now that's where I'm at. Right. My purpose is my kids. And I remember Lolita always saying, right now I don't want to go out there too big, because my purpose is her younger son at the time said.
Before he turned 18,
If you could just become aware of it and just ask yourself that question, what's my purpose?
I like
There's
that
the beginning.
wish.
There's the path of it.
That's a great wish for
Find your purpose.
That's a great wish for 2013.
Thank you.
Great wish.
And you also mentioned that your purpose here is to help people and help them a little bit. And I remember asking you the first time you came on the show, we had breakfast earlier before we came onto the show, and I asked you, with all your accolades and everything that you've done, why are you a part of my life? Why are you a part of this show? And you said something to me that brought a tear to my eye, and you're like, to help you, hopefully uplift you a little bit. And I want to just thank you personally for being a part of our lives and being a part of this show, because it has. And you have blessed us.
In more ways than people know.
Yeah, in more ways
behind the
people.
scenes, yeah.
So we want to thank you again.
Sure, absolutely.
And Paul, you have a great message and a great wish for everybody for 2013.
Yeah.
2013. Why don't we
Absolutely.
get into that? Because
Okay.
I want to hear this.
In 2013, I wish that you all learn to love yourself. That's very important, to love yourself. In order to do this, there's some things that you have to do in order to love yourself. You need to forgive yourself. We've all have come, Paul says in the scripture, we all come short of the glory of God, and we've all sinned, we've all done wrong, we've all had our secrets in life, we all have our story to tell. But I encourage you to forgive yourself in 2013. Forgive your past. Don't walk in guilt and shame. It's very important to not do that. Forgive what you're doing and move beyond it. Forgive what you're doing, what you have done, and just move beyond it. And it's basically making a decision to do something about that. And even if you have to tell yourself, I forgive myself. I forgive. God forgave us. God forgave us even before we've done it. And if the Almighty, the creator of mankind, the creator of everything, of heavens and earth, can forgive us, why can't we?
Forgive and turn away too.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the hardest things for mankind to do, is just forgive ourselves. I dealt with a lot of people that have come to me and just almost, I dealt with one man one time ready almost to commit suicide because of the things he'd done, and we walked through a process, and he just had to learn to forgive himself. So I encourage you, forgive yourself, walk in the freedom. There is a particular freedom and a joy, an unspeakable joy, knowing that God has forgiven you of everything you could have done. There is no sin that is not forgivable. That you can, even people in prison are finding salvation because they're learning to forgive themselves. So we can walk in the freedom knowing that God will forgive us and has forgiven us of everything that we've done, and Christ stands in our place. That is the purpose of his becoming a human.
Thank you.
Is he came to stand in that place. He became a sin so we wouldn't have to deal with sin. He was beaten so we wouldn't have to be beaten. And so, and even if that's a mental beating, don't beat yourselves up for what has been done. Walk away from it and know and walk in the freedom that God has forgiven me and I need to forgive myself. So I encourage people to walk away from it. Christ walked in the path to Mount Calvary, the path of guilt to Mount Calvary, so we wouldn't have to walk in guilt. The scripture says that we should not walk in condemnation. And the reason is because God took everything from us and put it on the cross. So we don't have to do that. It's very important not to walk in shame, not to walk in guilt, and to walk in the freedom that we can forgive ourselves because God forgave us.
I think it's very simplistic, and I think it's hard for a lot of people because, and I think Christianity is the only religion where it's a gift, where we don't measure up, and so many other, philosophies and ways of life, people feel they have to earn and do, and.
Sure.
But like you said, it's a gift.
Yeah, right. There's no earning.
No.
Now you can do nothing for God to love you more or any less. There's nothing that you can do. Salvation is a gift. This freedom, this forgiveness, it's a gift to us. There's nothing that we can do to earn it. We got it.
And a lot of people have a hard time with that.
Absolutely.
I think I'm one of those people that forgiving myself. I'm in, like I always discuss. I'm in my third step study, and on this third step study, the first step study, I focus on asking for forgiveness, not only from God, but making amends to the people that I've hurt.
And 12 steps, if the people clarify what you're saying when you say steps, because some people don't know what you're talking about.
Celebrate Recovery is a 12-step Christian program with the foundation, the higher power being Christ, Jesus Christ. And part of the amends process, which is a fourth step, is to make amends, and to make amends to the people that you've hurt or harmed. And I did that. Second time I took my step study, I went through the program again, the 12 steps, and I got to kind of work on my addiction and my acting out. So, okay, now I'm there. Now this third step study that I'm in is the hardest one because I'm working on forgiving myself.
Oh, that's perfect for today.
And that's what I struggle with, is sometimes that I go back into thinking, well, I was that person many moons ago, many years ago, and still feel that sometimes I still feel the same way. And I want to let go of that. I want to live in the moment, because when I go back and thinking, I did that, even though I already made amends for it, even to the people I hurt, and they've forgiven me, and God has forgiven me.
Sure.
Why am I still carrying it?
Why?
And that's a struggle for me.
Yeah.
But that's a process that I'm going through, and through my CR and through Christ as my foundation, I'm getting through it successfully.
I think it has a lot to do also is to be aware of your thinking, be aware of your speech. And if we're talking condemnation and we feel and we're thinking condemnation, stop that thinking in its tracks. Don't let it have its power in the now.
Yeah, live in it. Yeah,
don't obsess
exactly.
with
Stop
it.
it right now. Change it. Change that paradigm. Change the way we think, and it will change our outcome.
And when you realize there's nothing good in, stop trying to measure up. You can't.
Right.
Like you said, stop the thoughts, the process, and you can't measure up. It's a gift.
Right. Exactly.
So you were saying next was forgiving yourself. Now, after you forgive yourself,
sure, then you have to forgive others. You must forgive others. The very reason that we hold things against people is because there was a lack of control at that particular moment. We couldn't control the situation. Someone else controlled the situation, so we hold something against them. And no matter what the situation is, if you look at it, if you hold something against someone, it was because they had control and you didn't. And that's the very definition of fear. And people hold on to fear is because the fear is the lack of control, basically. And so we have to forgive others. They controlled the outcome, and you couldn't. So therefore, we hold things against people. It's like a divorce, a separation of family, when children don't like the parents anymore, and vice versa, or if business partners argue. Everything comes down to you didn't have control at that very moment. You wanted the control, so therefore I'm mad at you, I'm angry at you, and that's what it is. And if we realize something, if we don't forgive someone and we hold something against them, they're still controlling. And the very thing that we don't want is that for them to have control, we're allowing them to have control if we hold something against them. They're controlling our emotions. They're controlling our feelings. They're controlling exactly what we think about them. Don't give them that much power. Don't give them that power at all. Forgive them. There's a freedom in forgiveness. A total forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is always about us. It's releasing something within ourselves.
And what would you say too? I agree with that totally. Wouldn't you say also give people time to do maybe some reparative work for yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
If you've been wounded, you do forgive them, but take care of whatever that wound is for yourself.
There has to be a healing.
And move
absolutely.
on.
There has to be a healing.
You're right. That's what you're saying.
And part of that healing is forgiving them and walking away from it. If you don't want them to have control over your life, then don't give it to them. Don't give it to them by holding that grudge, by holding that animosity, by holding that feelings against them. Forgive them and let them go. Just let them go.
I let my dad go, and I wrote him a letter. And I don't have any animosity towards him or anybody in my family who had done some things. But like you said, I did have to take some time and to fix some of the things that were injured. But there is power in forgiving. You're right, because it holds you back.
Absolutely.
But I always like to tell people, repair what was broken.
Absolutely.
Let them go and repair what's broken and move on.
And like you were saying, there has to be a process.
That's
right, absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? You don't need that person in your life for that healing process.
I love it. Now that's
something that needs to be said.
Can you clarify on that?
Absolutely.
Can you clarify?
And that's where a lot of people feel like they
right.
need that revenge. They need that control they need that
I'm sorry.
Control, that power,
yeah.
that sorry. They feel like but you do not need it. If people want to go, let them go.
Right.
Don't hold on to them. You do not need that person for that healing process.
I love it.
I think that's very important to say because, in relationships, especially with men, we're very controlling. Well, I'm very controlling and I want to manipulate and I want things to pan out the way I want them to, the way I envision it. And a lot of times letting go of that control is a process, but it's something that is important to have that freedom, especially in relationships, because you do not have control over other people.
But God does. That's what you're saying, right? The Lord will take care of it.
That's all you need. You need Him. You need supportive people in your lives. You need people that are going to support you, and you need God. You need God to lead you and guide you and walk you through that process. There is a healing process. It can be done. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train coming at you. That light's not a train coming at you. There's light. And I encourage you, if you can't find light at the end of the tunnel, you be that light.
Oh, I love it.
You be that light.
I love it.
And speaking of men in relationships, I do want to say this. Men, forgive your ex-wives.
Oh, boy, we'll probably get a lot of calls on that one. Hey.
Walk away from them. Let them go.
Well, what do you say? What do you mean forgive them or let them go? In other words, stop thinking about them or texting them or stalking them, or what are you saying?
Exactly, all of the above. Just walk away from them. I can't believe that. I'm a divorcee, and my ex-wife and I are good friends today.
Oh,
because you had to let them go and forgive them, and she had to forgive me. And
I think that forgiveness was something very important.
I like that.
I had to make amends to the mother. There's two different moms in my life of my children, and I had to ask amends for them and ask them to forgive me. But once that forgiveness was done on both parts, me to them and them to me,
you let it go.
Wow, what a relationship I have now with them.
Absolutely.
They're confidants now. I can go to them now and call them up and say, our daughter is having this situation. What can we do about it? And we work together. But when I had that resentment, when I had that because I didn't have control over the relationship, because I couldn't manipulate them enough, then I was angry at them and I was fearful of them, and all these issues came up. But when the forgiveness was there, what a transformation. But God had to work with, like you said, it's a process, and God had to work with me first.
Absolutely. And men need to hear that. If the reason that that men hold a grudge and are angry at their ex-wives because it's a whole control issue. We couldn't control them and do what we want to. Let the control go and be free of that.
There's a lot of freedom in that.
Absolutely.
There's definitely a lot. I mean, I feel that.
Men are looking for their ex for more money. They're looking for their ex for satisfaction.
That's what I was going to say.
And you know what?
Will you let us please have the support and not worry about how we're spending it?
What we're saying, and I think I think men.
But that's a control thing.
There are men out there suing their ex-wives for money. And that's a strong statement against God, because what we're saying is I'm looking for a human. I'm looking for that person to be my supplier. God is our source. God is our source completely. And when we argue and fight our ex-spouses for income and for rights and stuff like that, let it go.
And make
be
a better
free of that.
2013.
Move forward. Don't. When we don't let it go, what we're doing is we're packing baggage. And you don't want to walk into a new relationship carrying that suitcase of resentment and hatred and anger into a new relationship.
You're not going to be good in a new one because you're going to bring that same stuff
not.
too.
Absolutely
You really
not.
are. I had my ex-husband and I had healing. In fact, we were reconciling before he passed, but it was beautiful. We grew past it because we both realized that, we didn't come with a full plate but you realize you grow. You're young, you go through all this stuff, and you can parent the kids, and you can have a good relationship. I'm glad to hear that about your ex-wife.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
We made that decision.
And I know I've seen it with you, the girls.
If you have children, they're the ones that's going to be damaged. You're going to walk away as an adult after it's over, and you're going to say, hey, I'm a free person, I'm a free man. And the woman's going to walk away as an adult saying, now I'm free of him and stuff like that. But it's the children that hang on to that subconscious, subliminal message that you gave them. And so I encourage
you're empowering people for the 2013. Bring some healing into the homes,
bring
people.
some healing into the homes. Bring some healing into. Think about your children.
Right.
Don't use your children as your weapon. Don't use them as your weapon. Don't use them as the go-between.
Right.
Don't do that to them. They're precious, innocent souls, and if we begin to do that, we're damaging their subconscious. And we always have to think future. Think future. What you're doing now, how is it going to affect in the future? And so I encourage ex-husbands, let it go. I encourage ex-wives, let the husband go. You know what? I encourage you in 2013, if a husband wants to go, let him go. Let him go. Now, I do have to say this as a minister. I got to throw this disclaimer in there.
Okay.
God hates divorce, but he doesn't hate the person.
Well, he says in peace. If you can be at peace at all,
Exactly.
be in peace. But if the one who
if
wants
you
to
can
go,
live,
the
that's right.
unbeliever or believer, let them go.
That's right.
Let
If you
them
can
go.
live peaceably with all men, if possible, do so.
Do so.
Absolutely.
Well, I like that. So far you're talking about what to do individually in our walk with God and letting ourselves be forgiven, forgive, and then you bring it into the household. Finding our purpose, that's quite a few
Absolutely.
statements
I
there.
think this is a great message. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to our New Year's 2013 New Year's edition with Paul Obel ministering to us about his wish for you guys out there as viewers and listeners. Please stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. This is Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me, Father, may I come in? I'm feeling alone, afraid.
Hi everyone, Chef Richard Petty here to tell you about LA Talk Live's new cookie show, Let's Do Lunch, with me, your host, Chef Richard Petty. Let's Do Lunch launches Saturday, January 19th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Well, tune in to Let's Do Lunch with me, Chef Richard Petty, Saturdays, 10 to 11 a.m., exclusively on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Join My House, an inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A radio show where nobody's insignificant. And I completely...
He just, you know what? I think you guys get the message. He's getting ready for Vegas tonight.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. See, I'm already speaking to. I want to thank you guys all for joining us this afternoon here on LA Talk Live. Enjoying My House. We have a great guest, Paul Obel from Obel Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving an amazing New Year's 2013 message that we all need to hear. I know that
Free
he's
ourselves
speaking to
up. Yeah.
I think it's important that we start off in a positive note and start off, like you said, knowing ourselves, asking ourselves some questions of what we want for the new year. Because I know that we give up a lot. We sacrifice a lot. But we got to turn it around and start saying, this is a gift, like we were talking about it being a gift.
Yeah.
Let's surrender it. Let's really come into this new year with a positive attitude and some real helpful tips and tools to get us through the next year. Because we need it, especially now with economic hardships and emotional distress.
And for families like you were talking about, I mean, all these people, I'm glad you're saying that, murdering people, the anger is so intense.
Yeah.
It's getting to a point where there are tragedies on a daily basis, and we definitely need to hear a positive message. We definitely need the tools, and they're not physical tools. I think we forget about the emotional tools that we need to go through challenges and struggles, because we all go through them.
Absolutely.
And we all have some dysfunction in our lives. None of us here are perfect, and none of us here live without sin. But we got to ask for God's forgiveness and some direction. And Paul, you're giving a great message right now, and we're going to talk about the power, giving the power of living in the present.
Absolutely. And that's where all our power is. We have to think about it. A minute ago, you have no control anymore. You have no power over the past. And like I said earlier, the past is for two reasons: to learn from and to laugh at. The struggles that we went through, let's learn from them, let's grow. God designed us to grow. God is always moving forward and upward, never backwards and in reverse. And so we were designed with the spark of God and in His image. So we're all designed to grow. And so we can't, from the past, we need to grow from the past, the struggles, and even the good times, we grow from them. And also we need to laugh at them. You know, sometimes we look at, let's grab the good memories and move forward with them. And also you have no power in the future because you're not there yet.
That's right.
The only power that you have is right now at this very moment. The very instant that you're looking at and you're listening to this right now is the only power you have. And take advantage of that power to your good. Use that power. Do something in life with that power that you have, and just live in the present. Don't live in the past. Let it go. Don't live in the future. Don't attach ourselves to the future. Keep the goals. Keep the visions. Keep the dreams alive.
I think that's great what you're saying, because I tend to live my life one step at a time. They say in 12 steps, my 12-step program, one day at a time. And I tell people I live my life literally one day at a time, if not one moment at a time. And people tell me, well, because you're not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow to your kids, or how are you gonna pay the bills. And I have those worries too.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that
Absolutely.
those worries go away or that I ignore them. It's that I live in the present and I do something to help the next day, but I have to do it today.
Do something now.
And you have to find what that present is. You have to find there's a wealth of things to do. I think people in the past, I used to wait for God to come and tell me what to do, but a lot of it was practical, just putting one step in front of the other. Look around. If you see a need that needs to be filled, fill it. So can you elaborate what does it mean to live in the present? How do we find the peace there?
Sometimes, let me give you an example like this. If I ask you, what do you want in the future that you don't have right now? And a lot of people, the generic answer is, well, I want more money. Well, why do you want more money? Well, you say, well, I want to buy a new house, or I want to give more to my kids, or I want to do this. Why do you want a new house? Why do you want a new car? The bottom line comes down, if you keep asking those questions from question to question, you're going to end up with, I want to be happy. I just want to be happy. You want a new car because it's going to make you happier. You want more money because it's going to make you happier. It's going to make your children happier, which is going to make you happier. You want a new job because it's going to make you happier. The bottom line is we just want to be happy. We need to realize that we can be happy right now. In this moment, and we put if we become, now most people say, when I get it, I'm going to get happy, I'm going to be happy.
And it never
but
comes.
Don't do that. Happiness is what brings it. It puts us in the flow. There's a flow that we need to get into, and happiness puts us there. And as we begin to be happy and live in the moment that we have the power right now, that will put us into the flow of where God wants us to be and what God wants us for in our life. If you want a blessing from God, be happy now as if you have it.
Or be a blessing.
Absolutely, be a blessing. Scripture says that faith is things hoped for. It's the substance of things not seen, the evidence of things not seen, and the substance that we need to hope for. It's a hope. It's something that we need to put ourselves into the very moment right now. It also says that you should call things that are not as though they are, and basically that says be happy right now, as if are two huge, powerful words that we can use in our life. Be happy as if. Now.
I think that's a good point. I've also find that right now God has been bringing me a lot of different people from a different walks and circumstances. He's teaching me to be happy in service. Also in our 12 steps. 12 stepping is giving back what you have received. So I feel like not being codependent in serving people to the point of where it's a liability and you're not taking care of yourself, but finding happiness is serving others.
Absolutely.
Like what you're doing, like right now, you are serving by giving people something to hold on to. Stop trying to be finding happiness out there.
But I was going to mention you too, Lolita. You give back quite a bit. You're a service to quite a few people. I know once we do an event, everybody just crowds around you and wants your time. And you take the time to pray with people and to talk to people.
I serve with children now, elderly people. It doesn't matter. Brokenness, wherever it is, I'm learning that in that I'm finding fulfillment because I'm giving back what God has given to me, which is peace and someone to have coffee with and to talk to. Because you haven't talked about anything about money or anything. I love what you're saying, Paul.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, we're looking for what makes us happy. And I think for me as a man, I want to provide for my children. I want to give them a better life. But if I live in the present, they have a very good life. Maybe being present in their life and engaging with them and going out and just spending some time with them, and that's a blessing in itself if I live in the present. But if I live in the future, it's, well, I want them to go to a parochial school, I want them to go to an Ivy League school, I want them to dorm at the school, I want them to have this amazing experience. But if I'm always thinking of that, I'm not living in the present of just spending time with them now.
Sure.
So I think
enjoy the now.
Enjoy
the now.
Being in the present, and like you said, as if those things will come by God's grace in His time. Sure. They'll be taken care of.
Absolutely.
But if I live in now, I'm able to be there for them now. And I think it's very important.
And as if is a whole new show that we could do. Spend hours and hours on about calling things that are not as though they are. Absolutely.
Now, we were also going to talk about, the wish that blessings can take over in 2013.
Above all, Paul says in the scripture, he talks about things. He says, but above all, I wish that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So above all, I wish that all your blessings come and overtake you in 2013. I pray that your dreams come true, that the very things that you desire in your heart come to fruition. Sometimes we fight what God wants to give to us. And I'll explain this. God is more willing to give to us than we're to receive it. And the way we fight God's blessing is one, with our negative thinking. It's kind of like we ask God for something, and God's like, okay, here it is. And you go, well, maybe I don't want that. And God's like, oh, all right. As soon as you make up your mind, I'll let you know. The Bible says in James that if you pray amiss or you pray asunder, you pray as if you don't know what you want, you won't get it. And then a lot of times we fight God's blessing by trying to figure it out ourselves.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, that's
and that's a lost cause right there.
We ask God, say, okay, God, I need more money, or I need this or that, and then we stop, turn around from our prayer, and we try to start looking at people. Okay, who can bless me with money? Who can give me money? Okay, I can go to Paul, and I can probably borrow some money, or if I go to this person or that person, they can probably try to stop trying to figure out God's job. And sometimes we get in God's way, and that's what we do. Is if you're going to ask for God something, then let God do it. His thinking is not like our thinking. His ways are not like our thinking. He controls the universe, and we're in our own little world here, and we wrap ourselves around our own world. And I dealt with a man in particular a few years ago. He came. He said, "Hey, brother, I need you to pray for me because I don't have rent." And his rent was like $1,800. And he says, "I don't have rent for next month." I said, "Okay, I'll agree with you that God will do this." And then the very next sentence out of his mouth, he says, "Do you have the $1,800 that I can borrow?"
Yeah.
And I went, "Do you want it from God, or do you want it from me?"
Right.
I'm not going to pray if you're going to go ask for everybody.
Right.
If you're going to try to do this on your own. I said, why pray? Why bother God? If and I say that God's never a bother. We never bother God. But if you're going to ask God for it, then you ordered it out of the catalog. Walk away from it and go expect it. If you're going to ask me for it, if you're going to go to all your friends and ask for it, then I'm not going to pray.
Right.
Because you can figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
You're getting in the way. What you're talking
We're
about.
getting in the way of God. You know, the phrase "let go and let God." Letting go is stop trying to figure out how God's going to do it.
Right.
Get out of the way.
Well, my wish is that people will have peace and rest in striving. That's what I'm hearing you say. Stop striving. Cease from striving.
Absolutely.
Rest.
Absolutely. Find
have
rest
peace
in God.
And let God do it. Like you said, let him bring it. And that is really not easy.
I think
I've had 2 years of stop struggling and kicking and screaming, and it's hard.
Absolutely, we all do.
But it's like
It's
the death of the flesh.
It's a discipline that
It
we have to
is.
go through, and it's
It
a
is.
very powerful discipline.
It is.
And one thing I do want to say, and even if you have to write this down, this is very important on how to get things from God, is we need to verbalize and say this: I desire and I accept, and then put your prayer behind it, put your agreement behind it. I desire and I accept the blessings from God. To say desire, what you're doing is you're saying to yourself that I want it. I have a desire. I have a hunger. I have the ability to want it. And then to accept it is we're releasing the fight. We're releasing the struggle.
Right.
And allowing God. Let God do this for you.
Well, that's very important because what you just said, Hebrews 4 is a very important scripture. I have to go to that. If we don't enter into his rest, that's unbelief. And we will not be blessed. I've had to read Hebrews 4, I don't know how many times, about how they did not enter his rest because of unbelief. So that just puts a whole seal over everything you just talked about.
That's right. Yeah. And I know it's worth repeating again. I desire and I accept what God has for me in my life. I desire and I let God do this for me.
Wow.
And that puts us in peace. That puts us in tranquility. That takes the anxiety, the fears, the doubts away from us, and we just stop the fight.
Right.
A mental fight, and just let God do it.
And I think that is a great message, Paul. I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you for coming
My
on the
pleasure.
show again.
My pleasure.
Paul
Uplifted me.
Obel
Thank
from
you so
Obel
much.
Ministries.
Thank you so much.
A great 2013 message.
Yeah, and it's
Thank you.
uplifting, encouraging.
Please feel free to send any comments or questions on Facebook /joinmyhouse, or tweet us directly at twitter.com/joinmyhouse. Join us next week as we will have John Brennan, Celebrate Recovery State Director, here in the studio as a studio guest. You're not going to want to miss it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House, and have a great and amazing 2002.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And be blessed in 2013.
That's right.
Yes.
When everyone turned away and Saul was on his steps. When God speaks to you alone, and people tell you that you're crazy and send you packing home, what oh you continue in your step. yourself a